Quiet.
And we're live. Good evening from the spiritual home of SMWS in the Vaults. My name is Julie. I'm one of your hosts for this evening. I'm in the marketing team at SMWS, and I'm with my colleague,
Olaf, who's been around for a while, been brand ambassador for 20 years, and also one of the chairpersons of the panel. But you say good evening, Julie. It's also good morning and good afternoon for wherever they come from in the world. But we're all together to have a really good time this next 1.5 hours, enjoying a few drams, having a few conversations with people. But I think you know a little bit more about it. What's up?
Yeah, well said. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining from in the world. Absolute pleasure to be here with Olaf from our spiritual home, as we say, and to welcome you into our festival Dram-along. We've got an action-packed lineup for the next hour and a half, so it's going to be lots of fun. Hope you've got a clean glass and some whiskey and ready to go. Coming up shortly, we have got some music from the Sam Gillespie Trio. They're coming live from our members' room down in Leith as we speak. We're also going to be heading to our partner bar, or one of our partner bars, the Quake, up in the Craigallachie Hotel in Speyside. So they're going to share a little bit about what happens in Speyside for festival season. We'll also be talking about our plans for festival season and, of course, the bottles, which is an exciting moment for everybody in the society when those bottles are released.
Certainly is.
And we'll also be speaking to some of our other countries and markets around the world, just finding out what their plans are as well.
Yeah, I think that sounds good, Judy. We're also hearing about, I'm going to talk about the new documentary coming out, Scotch and Sherry, from our Unfiltered editor, Richard Gosden, which is an exciting film where some snippets, I think, have already been released. Yeah. If not, then very soon. Yeah. Look out for those.
That's fab.
And you better listen as well what we're saying, because there's going to be a quiz at the end of the evening. And I can tell you, I was struggling with some of those questions. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that quiz right at the end of the evening.
Yeah, I'm with you, Olaf. I'm so glad that we're reading the questions and not taking part, because I think I would be instant fail. So just to say, we are streaming live on SMWS UK Facebook page. We're also streaming live on SMWS YouTube, both in the UK and the US. So it's great to have you wherever you are joining from. Please come into the comments. Let us know where you are from or where you're joining from. Let us know your name. Let us know what's in your glass so we can see what you're kind of dramming along with. We'll talk to you a little bit about what we're drinking this evening as we go along. And yeah, we want it to be fun, interactive, and we definitely want to hear from you wherever you are in the world. So also, if you've got any questions or comments that you want to put to us, or in particular Olaf, then just feel free to jump in the chat. We've got our team here that are able to help signpost to what comes in. So yeah, let's have a fun night.
But I think we'll kick off the whole thing with a bit of music, because every festival not only needs whiskey, it's also some music. And you already mentioned it, the Sam Gillespie Trio, which is an old-time favorite of the Vaults. Yep. And we've got two songs which are coming, one at the beginning and one to close us off. Beautiful. And the first one is a good old Robert Burns classic, Green Growth of Ashes, featuring Kirsty Law on vocals and guitar, Shani Moody on clarinet. Shani, if you're listening into, thank you very much for my birthday party back in November. You were coming into the room and playing the clarinet, really made it special. And then Nick Jenkins on fiddle as well. So let's hear Green Growth of Ashes.
Hello, I'm here with some of the house musicians, and we're going to sing two songs for you. This is the first. It's a classic, a Robert Burns song, Green Growth of Ashes. There's not a care on every hand, every year that passes on, but signifies the life of man, and where the further lasts us all. Green growth of ashes on green grove that ashes on. The sweetest years that day I spent are spent among the lost soul. Green grove that ashes on green grove that ashes on. The sweetest years that day I spent are spent among the lost soul. The one lady's may riches chase, and riches still may fly them all. And though at last they catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them all. Green grow the rashes on, green grow the rashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among the lost soul. Nature swears the lovely tears, her noblest work she classes on. Her prentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the last all. Green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among the last. Green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among the lost soul. But give me a canny or a tale, my arms about my dearie all. And what'll cares and what'll man, can I get absolutely oh. Green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among the lost soul. Green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The sweetest years that did I spend are spent among the lost soul. Green grow the ashes on, green grow the ashes on. The smell of bed is no say soft as the bellies of the roses. Oh.
Beautiful, good stuff. What a cracking start to
It
this
certainly
evening.
is.
That sets the tone nicely.
Certainly does.
And on that note, Olaf, I think it's time. Don't you think we should crack open our
That's
our
it.
first
That's
whiskey?
it. Well, I've already
Well,
cracked it
you're
open.
already there. You're already there, which is great. So we're going for this evening. Olaf and I are actually dramming from our sherry cask drop and dram pack. So Olaf,
Yeah.
would you like to talk us through what we've got here in our glass?
Yes, I mean that's the first one we've got is the 36205. So the 36 distillery and the 205th cask we bottled, and it's called All the Fun of the Flicks. And as you know, I'm a chairperson of the panel, but I had to look up what flicks means because that's not a word which I know. I found out that it was a cinema, so lost in translation for me. But it's a lovely Speyside whiskey, 2006, distilled, 16 years old. and we've had it 13 years in bourbon hogshead, so American wood, and then transferred it into a first fill barrique. And but that's a barrique from a Spanish sherry bodega, which is quite fascinating because they're using French oak rather than Spanish oak or American oak. It's a privately owned bodega, and it's in the 9th generation. I've just been, as I said earlier on, I've just been to Spain, so I've visited the bodega, seen the bodega, and it's just wonderful. I mean, sort of, it's like, I know the Waltz is home away from home, but when I walk up the hill with the vineyards on both sides, it's also home away from home for me. I mean, sort of, mind you, it was 25 degrees and sunny rather than 5 degrees and rain. So yes, thoroughly enjoyed that. So they call it the essence of fruits with a soul of French oak. That's what they call it. And it is actually a barrique, which is in the bodega. So it's part of the Solera system, which is very, very rare. And we're really lucky of getting some of those casks.
And what sort of flavor would that kind of bring out in the
you're getting a lot more deeper dried fruits flavors. You're getting a lot more the fruity aromas as well from the French oak at the end of the day. So not so much on the sweeter side, but much more on the dried fruit, raisins, all that sort of Christmassy cake type things, which we normally have. The distillery as well, 36, is a fascinating distillery because it's one of the few still left with worm tubs. So the old-fashioned way how one usually distilled and brings the liquid back into, brings the vapor back into liquid form, not a shell and tube condenser. So therefore, you're getting less copper contact. So you're getting also a heavy style spirit. So therefore, you've got this heavy style spirit. You've got an extra maturation in those French oak casks. So let's have a nose.
Let's do it. You definitely get that sort of Christmas cake sort of vibe, don't you? Yeah,
beautiful.
From it, sort of rich,
plummy, sort of plum tarts, caramel as well.
Yeah, a little bit of like kind of almost like toffee. Notes, I would say.
Yep, I agree. It's actually sweeter than I thought it would be. I mean, sort of, it's got a lovely sweetness to it. Which is quite interesting because they're using the Pedro Jimenez grape, the PX grape, but they're actually using it not as the sweet wine as we know the Pedro Jimenez sherry, but they're using it as a dry wine as well. So it's quite fascinating. So it's like everything in life. The more you know, the more you know you don't know at the end of the day. But certainly worthwhile. I mean, we've had it in the glass for a little while now, so it was breathing as well.
Opened up a bit.
In the tasting note, it says as well, like it's like the sherry bars in Jerez, you know, which with this wonderful wood paneling as well, those tapas bars. And I can tell you, I've been in many tabancos in the last few days. Tabancos very only in Jerez they exist, and it's wonderful there. And you've got a bit of flamenco as well going on very often.
Nice.
Sherry coming straight out of the cask as well. So on Rama, as it's called. Fantastic.
True authentic experience.
Look at the legs as well. I mean, really thick and oily. I think that's what the worm tubs do as well, giving that heavier, meatier style spirit. Wonderful color as well.
It's really nice.
Sunset over San Luca Barrameda.
Fond memories. And speaking of fond memories, actually, what we didn't share at the start is that it's a very special year in the society for Olaf because it's actually his 20th anniversary with us. So congratulations on that, Olaf. Incredible length of service.
Thank you.
We are incredibly lucky to have somebody so knowledgeable and just so warm as well. And everybody that comes in contact with you just absolutely loves you. So how does it feel? You must have 1,000 stories about life at the society. I bet we could sit here all night and talk about them.
Yes.
Any favourites that you want to just at the top of your head that just
well, Julie, this is the problem, you know.
We'll be here all night.
People know we're here all night, and we haven't even tried the whiskey. So I think we first try the whiskey and see what we think.
People, pull up a chair.
Pull up a chair, exactly. Let's try the whiskey.
Let's do it.
Slange.
Slange at home.
Lovely, a beautiful, again, surprisingly sweetness for me.
It's very sweet, actually.
It's very sweet.
Also a little bit like
sort of
like I get a little bit like gingerbread.
Yep, there's the
like
spice. There's the spice,
bit.
Which obviously would be the French oak as well, which gives you the spice.
Very nice.
Sort of some dark bitter chocolate as well.
Yep.
Sort of in the back of the throat.
Yep.
Right, sort of sultanas.
Yep.
creme brulee.
Very, very nice.
Now, people know I'm a big fan of adding water to my whiskey, but this one I can easily drink.
Yeah, I
neat.
think I'm the same. Yeah, I'm not sure I would add water.
I
to
mean,
that.
it's what is it?
Useful.
59.1%.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's well up there.
Yep.
And but
It doesn't feel like that though when
it
it's on the
doesn't.
palate.
It
No.
doesn't. I'll just try a second time.
Yeah. Please do.
Mm,
Really nice.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. As I say, I'm usually adding water, but I don't add water tonight. And as I don't have to do it,
Yeah.
because obviously in the panel you always have to add water to it to see how it evolves and develops. But as I'm here just for fun here and drinking whiskey and
absolutely.
talking to you guys,
Yeah.
I'm not going to add some water to this
you
one.
do it your way. That's it.
Actually, yeah, Julie,
So
go
I'm just
on.
going to say, have you got a sort of a favorite festival that you've attended or moment from festivals over the last 20 years? Because you've obviously seen so many of them.
Yes, no, I mean there is lots and lots of. I mean, like last year I was on the Isla Festival working.
Yeah.
I know it's a hard job; someone's got to do it.
Well, that's it.
The year before I was at the Speyside Festival,
Yep.
and I remember many good moments, but one in particular, which was a tasting at the warehouse and still house at Glenmoray Distillery, which was phenomenal. It was sort of 8 o'clock in the evening, you know, the still house all lit up and everything, and then you had a wonderful. I remember the drama as it would be yesterday.
Amazing.
And the people just really loved it. So we were about 50, 60 people in the warehouse and in the still house.
Yeah.
So really fantastic. But the Craigellachie Hotel, of course, always fond memories I've got with that one. So we can share them later on. But one good story, which just must be one of the best, is when I was there not working, which was 10, 12 years ago, I was in a masterclass of John Campbell, then from Lefroy. And he was telling all the stories. And then all of a sudden, some gentleman asked, now, what's the best way of storing whiskey? And John was saying nothing unusual. He said, dark, you know, not too much light, direct sunlight, and not too warm, not too cold, sort of steady and everything. And And the gentleman fought hard and said, listening to everything you said, I think the best would be if I actually put them into the ground in my garden. I'm digging them into the ground in my garden.
How unusual.
And John Campbell sort of starting to smile, you know. I immediately jumped up and said, can I be your gardener, please? You know, sort of enjoying it. And then John said wonderfully, he said, yep, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. But I would say a cupboard would do it as well.
Make your life a lot easier.
Correct. So, you meet all sorts of people in the festival time. But it's good. It's good. It's fun. It really is fun. And you meet people you've met many times, but then lots of new faces as well. Lots of new faces, which is good.
Which is great to see.
Which is great to see. No. And you mentioned 20 years with the society, but obviously I'm going back much longer. I've been 30 years or 32 years a member of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. There's an interesting article actually in the next Unfiltered about that story. But also I'm going back 41 years. I always say my first whiskey I ever drank was when I was 6 years old. So just in case you want to do the maths, Julie, you know, sort of.
So you're only 21.
Exactly. Actually, my first whiskey was older than I was at the time. Wow. That was my first whiskey. Amazing. Older than me. So I'm really looking forward to going around places because I'm doing sort of a little road tour in Edinburgh, in the Vaults, and in Queen Street, in Bath Street in Glasgow, but also my old hunting grounds in Aberdeen and Inverness. And I'm really looking forward to, again, seeing people and friends, good friends. I was talking about my birthday where Shani was playing. Actually, from Aberdeen, there were people there as well here up in the vaults, enjoying my birthday party with me. So it's all about friends, really making friends and having friends.
Incredible friends that you've made and friendships formed, you know, throughout society, which I think is just such a special thing about society, isn't it?
That's
where friendships are made and they're sort of become lifelong connections, don't they?
That's exactly what it is.
Which is something that we do just remarkably well. So we're incredibly lucky to have you. And Olaf did mention the May Unfiltered that's obviously up and coming in the next couple of days. There is a wonderful article all about Olaf's time with us in the society. It is well worth the read. And also, if you listen to Whisky Talks, our podcast, there's a really lovely session between Olaf and Duncan Gorman talking about Olaf's 20 years with the society and all of his whiskey adventures. So get that in your earbuds because it's definitely worth a listen as well.
Julie, I had to laugh now when you said podcast. No, I'm sort of saying old dog, new tricks or something. I mean, sort of. But here we go. I mean, sort of. I guess you have to go with the time.
That's it. That's it.
No, so I was just saying that's what like we're doing this evening as well. Just in good old Scottish is saying just having a really good crack. Sort of, and for those people who are not Scottish or not in the Scottish lingua, sort of, it's just having a good time, a bit of enjoying news, gossip, a bit of fun, a bit of entertainment, and at the end of the day, just being enjoying being together. That's
enjoying life, isn't it? Savoring life.
That's
through
exactly
every sip. It's a nice way to think about it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Beautiful. Great. Well, I think we will now kind of move on to our next segment, and hopefully we're going to go live now to the Quake Bar, which is one of our partner bars in the Craigallachie Hotel. Hopefully we're going to be able to speak to Callum there. So Callum Dyack is the bar manager. Good evening, Callum. You're there.
Hi. How you doing?
You never cease to amaze me. Great to have you with us this evening. We would absolutely love to know what you guys have planned for the Spirit of Speyside Festival this year. What can you share with us?
So we've got quite a few fun events planned, and we're actually going to kick it off with SMWS. We've got a sherry and whiskey tasting happening on Tuesday. It's kind of our start off to the festival, kind of a day before everyone else seems to get there. So that's a lovely way to kind of reintroduce partner barship to the bar and everything else. Then it kind of we have a day of quietness on the Wednesday, and then we really start to hype up with Boutique Whiskey Company and Diageo coming to do a lovely fall and fauna tasting. And then Friday we've got some amazing things with Lady of the Glen, and we've got Phil Thompson from Dornoch Distillery coming to do a masterclass with us. So we've got 50 people joining us for that. That's going to be our biggest event. And Phil, is always a great chat and such knowledgeable man in the whiskey industry. Then Saturday, got some more boutique whiskey events. And then we're going to walk up Ben Rinnes and have some Ben Rinnes at the top of Ben Rinnes.
Amazing idea. That's a great idea.
Is that still with Dave Broom? He used to do that on a regular basis.
I wish it was with Dave. It's actually with Irv, who, if we can't get Dave, Irv is a pretty good compromise. So Irv's going to be hiking up there with people.
Right.
Thankfully, I've managed to avoid that event. I will be sitting in the bar with Boutique at that time. But yeah, unfortunately, one of my colleagues is having to hike up Ben Rinnes. We then have an amazing event with Dr. Craig Wilson from Master Blended of Singletons. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a big dinner with him. And then kind of to end off our public events on that Saturday night, we're having Craigallachie Distillery come and do a tasting with us, focusing on the history that we both share together. The man that built the distillery is also the same man that built our lovely hotel. So we're going to talk all things history about Alexander Edward, and also share a good number of drams of Craigallachie and also Oakmore as well, which is always a great thing.
Sounds absolutely amazing. You really are at the heart of what's going on, aren't you? Yeah.
We're very lucky here. Like the distillery, the hotel, right in the heart of Speyside. We're 10 minutes to Duffton, 10 minutes to Aberlour, 10 minutes to Rothes. Yeah. And we've got, Macallan is directly opposite the hotel. We've got so many distilleries doing so many great things that, it's definitely the place to be.
I think I'll pack my bags and come and give you a hand, Olaf.
Yes. No, I'll be up doing the tasting on Tuesday. Yeah. And I just have to, I remember Craigallachie Distillery as well, a lovely distillery. And when I managed to see it, it was a cold winter's day, and they've got the worm taps. They also got worm taps right at the top. So when we were up at the top, the view was just breathtaking. But then also those worm tubs, they literally looked like big hot tubs, because all the steam was coming off them. It was.
Did you jump in?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it was tempting, because it was bitterly cold. It was bitterly cold. But no, that's one of those moments I will never forget with the Craigallachie.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually very lucky that my house is right next to the distillery, so I can actually look at the worm tubs right now.
Right.
I've got the Craigellachie distillery directly to the side here,
Cool.
which is always amazing when I open up my curtains and I can see it first thing.
Yep.
And what does it mean to you to be a society partner bar, Callum?
Oh, it's amazing. For a long time, we were a society bar, and then just with COVID and everything, we had a couple of issues where there was just no one to really run the bar. I came in about 9 months ago, and it was kind of one of my first priorities was to really get back to that. I think SMWS, one of the best independent bottlers that we have here in Scotland, but then it's also probably one of the funnest. I love when we get people in and, one of the bottles we currently have behind the bar is a slap in the face with a welly boot. Now, that's a fantastic name. And we get people that
stop my tasting note.
People want to talk about them. People want to drink them. And yeah, every time we have one behind the bar, everyone loves it. So yeah, it's just a really good thing to be a partner bar again.
Yeah. No, looking forward to see it again in full bloom, because I was many years at the hotel as well doing tastings, also doing staff training as well over the years. So I've been around a long time with Craigellachie Hotel. But actually, you won't believe it, because as I said, in 1983, I drank my first whiskey ever in Scotland. And 5-6 days later, after I drank my first whiskey, I was actually drinking whiskey in the Craigellachie Hotel in 1983, when it was nothing looking like it does at the moment right now. And I was staying up in the Craigellachie Lodge at the time. And I'll tell you the story when I see you on Tuesday, because that story is still well known in Craigellachie, because I was locked out of the Craigellachie Lodge at midnight, and I had to find a ladder to climb into the lodge. And I can tell you there are still some people that which still laugh and say, "Oh yeah, that was this guy from Germany 40 years ago. He walked at midnight, past midnight, trying to find a ladder." I mean, sort of, yep. So I'll share that with you on Tuesday.
Oh, that'd be an amazing story to hear.
Yes. Right. Good. Well, good to see you. Good to meet you sort of virtual. Looking forward to meeting you on Tuesday in the flesh and blood.
Yeah, no, we can share a dram on Tuesday.
Certainly will. Brilliant. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All the best.
All the best. Slanja.
Right. So that's me in Craigellachie on Tuesday. But I've got a quick change here. I mean,
yeah,
so
seamless transition.
I'm just looking and thinking, hang
Flawless.
On, that's not Julian.
We haven't just changed outfits. It is a change of personnel.
It's Duncan here, who actually this year has the mantle and has the pleasure of going to the Isla Festival. As I said, I was there last year, and it was yes, it was fun. It was hard work as well, but it was lots and lots of fun. So he's heading over with it's a 4-person team, isn't it? Again?
Yeah,
is it
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
So this is my first time going to Isla. I've never been, and obviously
You've never been to Isla?
I've never been. I know, awful.
Shocking.
It should be rite of passage to get in. I don't know how I passed my interview.
That's right.
No, so first time. So obviously, cannot wait. Very excited to go to this iconic island.
Yeah. So,
but I do have a couple of hesitations. I'm worried about a few things.
Right.
So maybe you can reassure me.
Right.
One, midges. I'm terrified. I've heard from a few people that the midges on Isla are something else.
They can be. I must say, last year, for example, it was very. Last year it was so hot.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. I mean, as I said, I've just come back from Seville, and it was yesterday morning was 25 degrees.
Factor
but 50. actually, I didn't get sunburned in Spain. I got sunburned last year on Isla at the festival, and that's no joke. I mean, sort of. Because you stand outside all the time, talk to people and everything, you just don't notice, And then,
there is something funny about peat freaks lathering on the Factor 50.
Correct.
I don't know what I enjoy about
that,
but there is something.
But there were no midges at all.
No.
I mean, sort of.
Maybe too warm.
Maybe too warm.
Okay.
And of course, if there is a little bit of wind as well, which always helps, then that helps.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, if they're out, and I've had them out in Isla, but also in the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah.
They're not much fun. No.
The other thing, Olaf, is I've been trusted with the van. I am driving the society van that's filled with whiskey. And if you've watched our recent Outturn podcast, then you'll know that last year Callum Lawson was trusted with the van. And spoiler alert, it didn't go
well.
exactly to plan. So he's not filled me with a whole lot of courage or confidence.
I was just about to say to you, it can't get any worse, put it that way. I mean, so it's the only way is up.
Midges and Isla single track. We'll see which one defeats me first.
Correct.
But other than that, we've got a busy schedule. There's lots to look forward to. So we're kicking things off on Monday, the 27th, with a takeover at the Bally Grant. And later on, we have a dinner and tasting as well. So that's a great start to the week.
Great place, Bally Grant.
And that's going to be followed up on Tuesday by quite a big day for us, which is we've got a sampling stand all day at our Independent Bottler Festival. And that's accompanied by 2 peat and sherry masterclasses. So you can really get stuck in. I mean, these are a great example of some of the sort of sherried and peated whiskies that we have, and you can really find out the inner workings of that complex pairing.
The last one I'm looking forward to.
You've got your eyes set on that one, do you?
Yep, I do.
But what we've got on the final 2 days is, now I am slightly biased about this, and we'll hear more about this later. I won't spoil too much, but the Society is releasing its first feature-length documentary, and we have 2 screenings coming up on Wednesday and Thursday, where you can watch this amazing documentary at the Macquarie Hotel and have a tasting alongside. So you can really experience the journey of sherried whiskey from start to finish. But I won't spoil too much. You'll hear more about that later.
And I mean, obviously, I've seen the film, and I can tell you it is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Really enjoy it. And
I'm gunning for more. Richards, if you're watching, he's managed to wangle himself a few trips. So I'm waiting for the next documentary. Who knows where? Somewhere sunny. I hope. Maybe Isla. Who knows? If you say that's a place to be, then a nice sunny trip to Isla for the next documentary. But Richards, make it happen.
Good. Well, thanks. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me. You're ready for another seamless transition here.
Yes.
We're about to go and change back into my other.
That's it. Because we're not only celebrating in Scotland, of course, we're also celebrating globally, because we are in, I don't know how many countries, I'm losing track in terms of how many countries we are, but we are literally all over the globe. And therefore, we are, that's why we're coming live as well at this time of the night, because hopefully there are some people already waking up and the old Scottish saying, have you had a breakfast yet? No, not a dram. So maybe we're going to change that quite quickly. But also it's afternoon in other countries. So first of all, we're going all the way to Australia, which is in Melbourne. We are, and it's certainly too early there. So I think it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. So we're not having him live, but Matt Bailey has kindly recorded a message, and we'll just hear him now.
Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, hello from SMWS Australia. So exciting to be bringing the Flavour Hunters Festival and opening all these lovely facial and festival casks that the SMWS have created for 2024. And we're bringing that to life in Australia. I'm coming to you right now. I'm recording from my whiskey office here, as you can see behind me. We've got so many Aussie members and even traveling members coming to see the Flavour Hunters Festival in Australia, where we're opening all the casks from across the regions, and we've got all 12 rare releases here in Australia, opening them and sharing them around the same time as you guys are in Scotland and indeed the rest of the world, which is so exciting for us, because being able to celebrate this with you guys, with the whole SMWS around the world, pretty much at the same time as the casks are being released over in the UK and whatnot, is extremely exciting. And it's something that I'm so proud that we get to bring that to life. And without further ado, I have Richard told me that to perhaps have a taste of some of the Speyside releases. There's 4 different Speyside releases. This time right now is the earliest opportunity I've had to record this, because the whiskey has literally just arrived. It would blow your mind how far away Australia is sometimes for shipping glass bottles around. So I've got all 4 releases just to my right here, and I was trying to toss up which one to go with, but I've gone with Distillery 85 Rare Release Freeform Jazz. I'll just show that on screen now. Hopefully you can see that nicely on screen. I have not tasted this yet. It's a 15-year-old in the spicy and sweet flavor profile. I'm just going to open this up. First bottle of this, first Flavour Hunters release, and the first festival release, I should say, being opened in Australia, right here on stream. So I've got my got my glass. I've got my whiskey. Just going to pour a bit of that. I have, like I said, I've not tasted this yet, and I'm very excited to dig into this. Cork had a good sound. That's always a good start. Good cork sound is important. Wow. The reason I chose this one out of the four, we've got the Heritage Puddings Follow Breakfast. We've got Cross Atlantic Destinations. We've got Tawny Garibaldi, but we've got Freeform Jazz. There's two reasons I picked this immediately off the bat, or three. I love spicy and sweet flavor profile, and I know our members do as well. Number two, Freeform Jazz. I'm a bit of a musician myself, and I love jazz, and I love being able to seeing musical titles on bottles. And number three, Distillery 85 is one of a handful of distilleries across Scotland that has worm tubs. It's one of those distilleries that often gets that rich, meaty, very interesting spirit character. And when you have the experts in our spirits team like Kai and Ewan and all the guys in the spirits team, the whole spirits team, putting together these amazing rare releases, you get a really exciting release. Immediately, it's like, it's thick. It's get like a bit of almost a bit of grape juice. Lots and lots of sherry influence going on in there. Maybe a little bit of wine cask as well. I don't know the cask makeup yet. Like I said, these just landed. I think the cask makeup is largely a moot point, though, in some ways, because it's the first and foremost should be, do you enjoy this whiskey? Do you enjoy the flavour of what's in your glass? We're talking 57.5%, that lovely high 50s proof. Natural cask strength. Lots of sherry influence. Get a bit of like cured meats. Get a bit of earthiness, a bit of soil. Let's have a taste. That is dangerously drinkable. That is what we would call quaffable. I could sink a few of those indeed. I'm going to see how it reacts with a few drops of water. I always like trying whiskey with and without water. I know our spirits team recommend doing so the same. Just a couple of drops just to see how it opens up. I think that works really nicely. We're so excited to bring these festivals to Australia. I know I've said that a few times, but we're going to have them all across the country. At the time you're watching this right now, I'm almost certain Sydney has sold out. Melbourne is probably 90% sold out right now. But there's also Tassie, there's Brisbane, there's Perth. I think there's one in Canberra coming up as well, and one in Adelaide as well. There's a lot going on around the country. It's hard to keep on track of it all, but we're so excited to bring the Flavour Hunters Festival to Australia. To everyone at SMWS headquarters, to everyone at all the members who are watching this as well, to Olaf, to Julie, to the whole Spirits team, and of course, special shout out to Richard Goslin. What a legend. Good to see you all. Have a fantastic stream. Cheers and speak soon. Bye for now.
No.
Right, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Slange,
Timed.
Slange from Scotland.
Yeah. Just grabbing our.
And I feel like I feel like sort of not the Eurovision Song Contest, but sort of the World Song Contest.
This feel a bit like that, doesn't it?
This was Australia, Melbourne calling, and now we're calling China and Shanghai, where I was last year for the first time and had a wonderful, wonderful time, thanks to Christina, but also thanks to Freddie and the whole team, which really looked after me in China for those 2 weeks, where I was in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and then in Hong Kong as well. And we're just going to have a message now from Freddie, which I'm very much looking forward to. So let's hear what Freddie has to say from Shanghai.
Hi everyone, I'm Freddie, the brand ambassador of SMWS China. It's a time of year that members always looking forward to. The Tradition Whiskey Festival is just around the corner. Unsurprisingly, this year we still have 12 exciting festival releases to look forward to. At the time of recording this video, members in China are not yet aware of this exciting news. But from this week onwards, we will be bringing information to whiskey lovers on social medias. During Hay Whiskey in Shenzhen next week, we will be hosting a gathering event for our members in South China, where we will be showing a video of Ewan Campbell introducing the festival release and doing a live sharing with our members. We have set a theme for the 2024 Tasting is Believing to encourage more members to explore the diversity of flavors. In April and May, we will be hosting some tasting events in Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen to give members a preview of the festival release. There will also be Whiskey Plus in Beijing in May, and we'll have a Whiskey Festival Zoom tasting as a gathering event in the meantime. Festival release have changed a lot in the last few years. More distilleries, more small batches. But what remains the same is the core spirit of the constant pursuit of the flavor exploration. I hope you can share all this dream with your friends and family. Enjoy the moment. Slange.
Yeah. And we're back. So we're going to have a look at some of the comments that have been coming in now. So we've got absolutely loads, which is just always amazing to see, isn't it? Like it feels like we really are this, well, we are this kind of united global community, and this is where you really see it at its best. So we've got Richard Gosling, who's tuning in from Ullapool. We've got Carl Zager from Utah in the USA. Amazing. Great to see you, Carl. We have SMWS in Austria. Great to see you guys.
Yeah. Grüße nach Österreich.
We have another Carl who is sipping on a Glendronach Revival.
All right. Good. Good choice.
Good
nice
choice. Yep.
Nice sherried whiskey.
We have Emmett Hossack from, and apologies if I'm getting anybody's name wrong, from Ottawa in Canada. He is ready to rumble with R1117. We've got Jans, is it?
Did you say R11?
I11. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Graham and Suzanne joining from Edinburgh, drinking Distillery 35.
Yep.
Come on in Sherry Heaven. A lovely drop.
Good choice. I mentioned that distillery just a few minutes ago.
You did. We've got Karsten. Good evening, Germany, Hamburg.
Yeah.
From Germany, Hamburg, sorry. So no dram for him tonight since he's at the Limburg Whiskey Fair this weekend. Very restrained. That's not happening here, is it?
No.
Robbie Boyle enjoying the Dram-along with a dram of A Sheep in Wolf's Clothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know that one?
Yeah, I do.
Jose Miguel Garcia, greetings from Barcelona, Spain.
Right.
Hola.
Yes, hola.
Yeah, you'll be loving it. Good. Amur sipping on the Luscious Velvet Festival releases from last year. Amazing. There's some belters there.
Yep, there were. Unfortunately, my bottles are all empty.
Oh, yeah. I started to say you're too mellow if you've got some left. Drink up before the next lot come out.
That's it.
We've got Alexandra, and I cannot pronounce your last name. I'm not even going to try it, but you're joining us from Warsaw. So good evening. Great to have you with us.
Yeah, good evening.
And you're dramming Raisin Toffee Jam tonight, which is great as well. Andras Juling, very good evening from Northern Germany.
Right.
Somewhere close to your heart. Whiskey is my jam is morning from Australia. So good morning. Yeah. You're up early.
That's it.
Dramming early. ACOS, is it? Gregory, pinch of peppercorns here. Again, apologies if I'm getting names wrong.
Don't worry.
And then Mark Gordon sitting with a wee 10 beef stew barbecue dram, Society Cast number 108.52. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. Mark Pendlebury enjoying Re-Rack to the Future. That's a good one.
Oh gosh, that is a great one.
And then Yad is back. He's saying he's having a Distillery 156.1 in the glass. So wonderful. So great that you're all here. And thank you so much for...
No, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and sharing what you're dramming.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I think we should start having our second one talking on dramming. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the number 2 in the pack, in the drop and dram tasting pack, the sherry themed one, it's the 55.85, which is a Highland. So we started off with a Speyside. We're now going into the Highland region. It's 2009 distilled and it's 13 years old. And it's called Passionate Desire, which with sherry casks, passion is always very close. I mean, sort of just those flamenco and guitar music, just very, very passionate. Now here, we've got 9 years in ex-bourbon. And then we transferred it for another 4 years into a first fill American Oak PX hogshead, PX Pedro Jimenez. So quite interesting. The first one was a dram which was in French oak, and now we've got one in American oak. Yep. Both sherry casks, both very different, both PX, but this one is a real sweet PX cask, whereby the one before was a drier version of PX. And you always hear me talking about extra maturation because we don't like the word finishing, because we're not finishing whiskeys. We're actually adding value to the whiskey. We want to give new flavors new aromas to it. And that's why it is basically a new start when we move it into a different cask. So that's why it's not finished, but actually an extra maturation. And we always, most of the time, we think at least 2 years. As we can see here, it was 3 and 4 years. But this decision comes when the panel decides when is the right time to bottle it. So it's not about a timing issue. It's about, it could be just a year. Most of the time it's 2 years. It can be 3, it can be 4. We even had one which was 6 years in that cask. So that's why we call it extra maturation. And again, like the first one, in the deep, rich, and dried fruits category, which very often these sherry casks are.
My favorite, my favorite flavor profile.
That's again,
like many of us,
almost a similar color in terms of what we've had, and very different.
Doesn't smell as, it's sweet, but doesn't to me smell as sweet as the first one.
Yes, which is again, which is surprising. This is the wonderful thing about it. Because if you just read both just on paper, you would have thought the first one would be a lot less sweet on the nose than on the taste than here. But I agree with you. This one it's not as sweet as the first one. There's a lot more of sort of glazed ham maybe or something. Sort of there is that meaty aspect to it.
Like kind of like maybe aromatic spices or coming through.
Yep. But again, I mean, it's just beautiful to. I mean, again, you can see the legs here coming down the church windows. So really, I've just looked at 57.5%. So it's slightly less than the one before. But again, I'm not smelling any alcohol there. I mean, it's just aroma. Should we give it a try?
It's flavor, isn't it? Yeah. Let's do it.
Lunch. There is the spice. There is certainly spice.
Really, but then actually there is a sweetness that cuts through at the kind of end of it.
Yeah. Yes, there is a sweetness, sort of demerara sugar sort of type of thing. But there's also I know maybe that doesn't sound too appealing, but as you know, our tasting notes they are just what they are. But I've had lots of sherry vinegar over the last 2 weeks on my salads.
And
it's that sort of a note for me is certainly there, which is not the normal vinegar you would be buying. I mean, I mentioned Jimenez Spinola. They have a vinegar, an aged vinegar,
do they?
which is absolutely phenomenal.
Nice to get that from a salad.
4 drops, 5 drops on a salad, and you know,
Happy days.
It's no longer rabbit food. It's actually proper stuff.
Palatable.
Yes. Yep.
I get a little bit of caramel maybe as well.
Yeah.
But caramel.
Again, sort of. I like the first one. I get some plummy notes as well. And I think I'll add a drop of water to this one. And you know, I hate pipettes. So I'll just have my little jug here.
Pipettes delicately lying on the table.
So I'll give a bit of water.
Almost, I think maybe almonds. Maybe almonds as well.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Yeah, could be roasted almonds. I mean, sort of a bit cherries. I certainly now get red cherries, really ripe red cherries.
Now that you've added the water,
yes,
so it's kind of opened out.
Yeah. That fruity note.
It is incredible how even just a drop of water can completely change it.
And I always say changes it. I never say it gets better or worse. It's different.
It's just different.
And everyone's different as well. I probably prefer the nose with a drop of water, actually, compared to neat.
Yeah. I sometimes think like our whiskies are a bit like the everlasting gobstopper. You know, you just never know what you're going to get. It just changes all the time. Yeah.
It's also changed depending, you know, on your mood as well, and when you drink it and where you drink it.
And I also remember one of the first tastings I ever went to was with your good self, and you'd spoken about how a lot of the time when you taste a whiskey, actually you can associate it with a memory as well. Right. So sometimes it's not even about the taste; it's that memory of, you know, maybe a kind of grandparent or an occasion, a wedding, or a kind of memorable
and then
moment.
It's a special so whiskey for you.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'll give it another try.
Yep. It almost feels sweeter now.
It does.
Doesn't it?
I prefer it now. I prefer it now.
Yeah.
As you
Spices
said, that
died in.
sweetness which was there, but the
Mhm.
spice for me was more,
Yeah.
and the sweetness was underlying. The sweetness is now coming out.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the sweetness I would have expected neat as well, because being an American oak as well,
Yes,
and
yes.
Pedro Jimenez.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the drop of water,
Yeah.
it actually performs
Very
sort
nice.
of in line as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
and really love it. And the last two words in the tasting note as well, simply sublime. I
Yeah.
mean, sort of,
Very
and
good. Yeah.
I can only agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Should just say, because there have been a couple of people that have asked,
Yeah.
the whiskies that we are trying are from our Drop and Jam Sherry Cask Takeover. So it's 3 5cl or 50ml Sherry Cask matured whiskies that are in, or minis that are in the packs. And each one focuses on a different aspect of Sherry Cask maturation. So we have a big focus on sherry for this year, or sherry whiskies. So if you want to explore a little bit more what we're doing there, then they are available on smws.com. They're £35. It's a tasting pack, and
Beautiful
definitely
tasting
worth.
pack,
They're
actually.
beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful designed. I mean, I'm not one, I always say the whiskey is the most important thing,
Yeah.
but it's beautifully made.
Yeah.
I really think so. And I had to laugh. That's why I looked at the bottle as well, because miniature, I remember miniatures in the Scotch Whisky Society were 100 mLs. We called them miniature.
Yeah, yeah,
That's still 50 mLs. That's still a lovely dram, because you can have two people sharing it. And you still get 25 ml per person.
Yeah.
So proper miniatures. They
yeah,
are.
proper miniatures, and they come with tasting notes, a set of tasting notes as well. So
Yeah.
you can definitely.
But don't read the tasting notes. Just drink the whiskey.
Dive right in.
And
dive right in.
read the tasting note afterwards and see what you think.
Exactly.
But don't read the tasting note. If you have the whiskey, don't read the tasting note
Yeah,
beforehand.
There is actually a little tasting notes card as well, so you can record your own notes for whatever you're getting. So exactly for
That's a
what
good
you're
idea.
saying. Yeah,
That's a
which
good
is a
idea.
great idea. Yeah,
Good. Well, enjoyed that one.
that was lovely. Very nice.
Right. Well, we've already mentioned very often festival season. We're right at the beginning, right at the cusp of
ready
it.
to go. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. On Tuesday, me and Craig Allachy, then on Wednesday, the Speyside Festival starting. And as I say, it's always a fantastic time for members, but also it's really where we showcase a large variety of different whiskies, celebrating Speyside Festival, Isla Festival, but we also got whiskies from the Lowlands, from the Highlands as well. And who better to actually explain all this than, and I have to look this up, our head of whiskey creation. I always have to laugh when I read this, because Ewan Campbell is a dear friend of mine. I know him for 15 years, but he can really, from the Marston & Bond warehouse, there's a recording, and he's highlighting the festival bottlings, which are going to be on show. I think they've already gone out. The Speyside one, I think I've seen today.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
And obviously all the rest coming in over the course of May. So over to you, Ewan.
I'm Ewan Campbell, Head of Whisky Creation at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. As always with festival season this year, we have a huge range to explore. There are 12 different bottlings encompassing all different spirit styles and lots of different wood types as well. So the whisky team had a great time putting all these together. We've got everything from well-aged, bourbon matured lowland whisky, 20 years old. We have for the first time ever a blended malt in the range, which is a 30-year-old Speyside whisky. We have appearances, unsurprisingly, from Isla, from the Highlands. We have one of the newer distilleries as well, peated spirit and bourbon wood. So yeah, as I said, a great variety to explore here. For this year, 6 of the 12 releases will have a sherry influence, and we've got all different types of sherry casks to explore there. Oak types, whether it's American or Spanish oak. We have Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso. We have a shaved, toasted, recharred wine barrique that was then seasoned with Oloroso wine. And we also, really interestingly, we have an Orkney whiskey where one of the components was matured in an Oloroso cask that previously had Isla malt whiskey in it. So it really amps up the smoke in the Orkney whiskey, which is peated spirit as well. We have Campbelltown, which has a lot of peat in it. It's a younger expression, so the peat really shines through. Yeah, so this whiskey is called Viking Toothpaste, which definitely makes me want to find out what's in the glass. It's very savoury and foody. There's kind of herbal, maybe like porchetta. Had some of that for my lunch yesterday. You know, rosemary, olive oil, smokiness as well, smoked oils. The menthol stuff is obviously there, and trying to figure out where the panel got the Viking side from. Maybe it's this kind of animalistic kind of hide, like leather, or you know, tanned animal skins or something like that. Super interesting, really robust, rugged, smoked rock salt, that kind of thing. Yep, really packs a punch. The smoke is a lot more prominent on the taste, and at natural strength it is at 60% ABV, 9 years old, so oofed. Yeah, that's a stonker. We go further up the west coast onto the Ardnamurchan Peninsula, where we have another whiskey, and then we can go up to Orkney. Oh, sorry, well, bypassed Islay there, big mistake. So we have a few expressions from Islay up to Orkney as well, and that kind of is our full peak journey this year. There's some beautiful sherried stuff from Speyside also. We have a Highland whiskey that has a touch of an oak type called Chinkapin oak, which is Quercus muhlenbergi, and that can give sort of some of the flavours of American oak, but it has some darker, more like brambles and blackcurrants in the background, so it just adds a little bit more richness. I think the interesting thing about all of these expressions is that they're put together from different casks that all have their own journeys. So we would spend our time trying to find samples that are obviously top quality, and when you combine them, that's not always the end of the story. Sometimes you hit that recipe on the first attempt, and other times you have to go, what does this need? Does it need a bit more sweetness, a bit more depth? They're all just weaved together from single casks that have their own interesting stories, but then we've kind of painted them together to create these pictures for festival season. So obviously we're very well known for single cask. That's kind of our raison d'etre, if I pronounce that correctly. But for these small batches, we wanted to create whiskies that could go a little bit further. We have a global membership, and single casks don't always stretch that far. So because this time of year is a real kind of global campaign for the Society in terms of putting whiskey from all over Scotland and showcasing flavours, we wanted to make sure there were more bottles to go around. That's kind of the thinking behind these, a bit of freedom and creativity from our side in the whiskey team, but then also it means that people in China, America, France, Germany can all try the same whiskies. Possibly my favourite, they're all great, is the blended malt that we've released this year. Absolutely beautiful label. So unlike our usual blended malt batches, this one is bottled at cask strength. So while it's 30 years old, it's up at 53.1%. The kind of flavours that you get in this is just really elegant, tropical fruits, but sort of overripe, mango, pears, pineapple, that kind of thing. Lots of coconut, and just left to shine in second fill bourbon barrels for the entirety of the maturation. It's called the Writing Bureau, and it reminded our tasting panel a lot of like a kind of antique writing bureau, a desk with leather panels and inkwells and beautifully polished antique wood. So yeah, that is a super elegant dram and one of my highlights. There's definitely a good range in price points, and you've got like there's a 25-year-old Islay from Distillery 29 that's going to be, and it's sherry influenced as well. But yeah, you've got really affordable smoky and sherried styles in there as well.
Well, if that doesn't get you excited for the up and coming festival releases,
I don't know what will.
Right? Cannot wait. Right, we've got some questions that have come in actually from all around the globe, so we're going to answer a few of them now. Olaf, please comment on the impact of Oloroso and PX Sherry on SMWS whiskies. Emmett is now drinking Distillery 6.64 Spanish Castanets, and it's an Oloroso Hogshead finish.
Yep. I love these short questions because you can endlessly talk about it in the answer. But I mean, the first thing which is important is what type of wood is it? So is it Spanish oak? Is it European oak? Is it, I mean, could come from Eastern Europe as well.
Yeah.
Is it French oak? Is it American oak? Then the size of the cask, a hogshead is already quite smaller than a butt. So therefore, the smaller the cask is, the more the influence of the wood comes through as well.
Yeah.
And then the third, and that's sort of in the order as well in terms of importance.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is what was actually previously in that cask, because you've got the in drink. That means it's in the wood. So the Pedro Jimenez or the Oloroso sherry is in the wood, and with the whiskey coming in there and then expanding as well when it gets warm and coming back out of the wood, it takes some flavors on there as well. Yeah. But the key thing really is, and we'll try and be as clear as we can. Sometimes it's not possible, but what type of oak is being used in those casks?
That's the most important.
That's the most important thing about it.
Sometimes the size, but but that is the size, isn't it?
Exactly.
The cask.
Exactly.
Yep. Good. Hope that answers your question for you. Got another one here. Can't wait to see the documentary. Question for Olaf. When you visited the south of Spain, did you get a chance to visit Bodegas Baron?
Yes.
Daniel visited it a year ago, found it to be a wonderful place.
Yep, it certainly is. I've spent actually 10 days in San Luca. It's because I know Jerez very well, and I knew El Puerto de Santa Maria very well. That's the other two towns of the Sherry Triangle. But I've been to San Luca many times, but just on day visits. So this time I spent 10 days there. And of course, Bodega Baron is one of those very exciting, I say new bodegas. They've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, but they're now developed their own brands as well, their own recognition. So yes, so I had their old Manzanilla, beautiful, beautiful sherry as well. And yes, you're right saying very, very lovely bodega. Actually, I went there. They don't have a visitor center as such. And I didn't say I'm coming from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, but I was greeted. And I bought the Manzanilla, and I went into the warehouse, and they offered me a glass of Amontillado and a glass of Oloroso, just because I made the way to them.
To go and see them.
Yes,
you made the time. You're living the dream, Olaf.
I know. I've been doing this for the last 20 years. But my problem always is, unfortunately, talking of an old dog, new tricks. I would love to learn Spanish because, unfortunately, quite a lot is really hinging on Spanish. And it's wonderful that their hospitality and the people are so proud as well of the product they're doing. It really, I mean, not that I say in whiskey, it's changed over the years now, but I really sort of feel almost back in the 1980s, 1990s in the Scotch whiskey industry and in those bodegas. And yes, Bodega Baron, certainly one I hardly recommend. I really, right from the heart, recommend to visit. But San Luca is really the hotbed of all these new bodegas coming up. And it's a great place to go. That's where the river, the Guadalquivir, comes straight into the Atlantic Ocean. So it's right there. And it's a place, once you're there, you will always come back. Always come back. Yeah.
Next year we'll be doing the festivals live, and Olaf will be doing it in Spanish.
That's right. That's right.
All right, we've got another question from Chris Shields. So, as a relative newbie, how do you develop the sensitivity of the palate and appreciate the subtleties of whiskey more? What a good question. Comes to the right place, I think.
It is. Well, the one thing I have to say, when I decided to make my hobby my job, which was 20 years ago, a master blender, so one of these real people, real noses and amazing people, he said to me, Olaf, it's great that you want to spread the gospel of whiskey around the world. He said, but I have to warn you, because to become an expert in whiskey is really, really difficult. But he also said to me, Olaf, I can promise you one thing, the practicing is good fun. So all I really can say, and I'm still practicing, so all I can say, practicing is what it is. Of course, I mean, the problem is it's alcohol, so I wouldn't recommend practicing too much. I mean, in terms of
moderation,
but in particular nosing. Nosing is one of those things you can do, and it really is. It's a wonderful experience, and it's like everything. The more you do it, the more you find satisfaction, the more you find fun in it, and you do it more. It's just like going to the gym or something. You probably hate it, but then
better.
but
It's
then,
like going to the gym but better.
yeah, but
And I
then,
think you said the most interesting word there, which was fun.
yes,
And sometimes I think in the world of whiskey, a lot of people take it really seriously,
it.
but it's about having fun, isn't it? And
that's exactly what it is.
just finding out what's in your glass, and you either
Yeah.
like it or you don't. You have your opinion, and that's it. It's
Yeah.
fun, isn't it?
And we're not right, you know, when you read the tasting note, that's not correct.
Yeah.
That's what 4 or 5 people at a given moment
Mhm.
thought about this whiskey.
Yep.
So it's not, you look at it and it's like a school sheet, you know, you say, oh, I get nothing, so I'm a loser. It's
Yeah.
not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about that. So just, you know, keep
Yeah.
practicing, keep
going.
working hard.
Yeah. And there's so much variety here at the society that you can just
Yeah.
never go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Good to have you with us. Carl, which finish do you prefer, Oloroso or Pedro Jimenez?
This is like, you know, I've got 2 children, and if you ask me which one's my favorite child, I mean, sort of, thank God I've got a boy and a girl, so I always say you're my favorite daughter and you're my favorite son. I mean, so that's quite easy then. No, I mean,
You're splitting hairs here now.
it literally depends. I mean, it depends on the mood. It depends of time of day as well and stuff. Again, don't forget, PX and Oloroso could both be, again, I'm repeating it, American oak, European oak.
Yeah.
So it's all different at the end of the day. And I would not get too hung about it. You know, people really, again, you say the fun aspect.
Yep.
People want to know everything and anything all the time. Just drink it, say, I really enjoy this. And when you enjoy it, then find out what it is.
Yep.
And therefore, then you sort of delve into it as such. And
Yep.
You might be quite surprised because, as I say, I was thinking the first and the second would be very, very different to
Yeah.
what they've actually turned out to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's every new glass is a new
Like an
adventure.
epiphany in a glass every time. And it really truly is, isn't
Correct.
it? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Great stuff.
Sorry, didn't answer your question, but
Thanks on both. Great stuff. So I think we're going to attempt another live now, and we're going to go stateside this time to talk to one of our colleagues, Ben, I think he's in New York, actually, which is kind of early evening in New York.
Yeah.
Ben, are you there? There you are. So we saw you recently in the vault. Good afternoon.
Yes. Yes, good afternoon. Good evening, Julie, Olaf. Thanks for having me. I'm at my home in Nashville, Tennessee, which is the music capital of America. So it's a bit earlier than New York time, but it is greener and the air is fresher here. So
Bet you it's warmer.
but yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here, and exciting timing. Being that about 4 hours ago, I just received a large box at my doorstep with every rare release that we have dropping here soon in the US. And since you've hit the little red button to go live, I've managed to taste all of them. So here we are. And
there's nothing worse when the doorbell goes and you're on a call. It's awful. We're glad you're here. We'd love to know what you guys are doing stateside to celebrate festivals this year.
Well, it's a big time of year, I would say, for me personally, and I don't want to speak for all the membership, but the most exciting for sure for society members here in the US. Of course, so many of us long to be over in Scotland attending the festivals, but the reality is 99% of them are not. So we've really done our best to stage a celebration here. And in about 2 weeks' time, we'll be kicking off with 9 different tasting events throughout the US, which is a lot of tasting events to take place over the course of just 2 evenings. So it's our biggest celebration in that sense. And at these events, we'll be tasting just about every single rare release that we'll be releasing from that point forward. So for members in the US, I think because in the UK, you've released the Speyside whiskeys already. So in the US, they're coming in a couple of weeks. And so at these events, attendees will be able to taste the whiskeys the evening before they actually release here in the US. So very, very exciting, a lot of hype. I think almost every ticket is sold out at this point. So yeah, I just think it's so great. It's so great to be able to share the same whiskeys around the world.
And have you ever visited a Scottish whiskey festival before, Ben? You've been lucky enough?
Yeah, I was on Islay 2 years ago, and it was which was I guess the first festival since the lockdowns and the pandemic, and so I was told to be prepared for large crowds and a lot of chaos, but
carnage.
You know, of course, relative to American life, everything over there was very orderly and civilized, and so it was a great time. I was only there briefly, but I would highly recommend to anybody to make your way over.
And you made it out alive, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't know how people do it these
I
days
know.
because they start with the Arran Festival, then they go to the Campbelltown Festival, and then they go to the Isla Festival. I mean, it's yep, not for me.
Not for me, no.
Yeah, when I was younger, I could manage such a feat, but at this point, I think I would not survive
Yep.
that.
Yep,
Character building.
that's
what
it.
they call
That's it.
Great.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. Great to share what you guys are up to. And yeah, best of
Wishing you
luck.
lots of success.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Can't wait to
Thank you,
hear how it all
Sanjay.
goes.
Sanjay.
Cheers. Thank you, Sanjay.
Great. Actually, just going to say there is another, just to go back to the May
Yeah.
Unfiltered, there's a lovely article
Yeah.
from one of our US members, actually, a gentleman called Jay Barris, who made a pilgrimage to Isla with his son. So it's just a really heartwarming story, definitely worth a read. So look out for that in the May Unfiltered.
Yeah, I actually
Have you read it?
I read it,
Yeah.
and I had to smile because
Yeah.
I remember one time when there was a flight from Edinburgh to Isla, you know, and it was 20 minutes, and you were on Isla compared to stories you
Yeah,
hear there.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
it's a
good one.
It's a good one.
It's a good
It
one.
really is a good
Yeah,
one to
yeah.
to read.
To read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Excellent.
we're back to España.
We are.
Sort of
See?
because I have to pay for my trips, but there's other people, you know, as Duncan was saying, you know, they get paid to do these sort of trips.
I've not even been. Don't complain.
So as we already mentioned a few times, there's a great documentary out and about Scotch and Sherry, a flavor odyssey, as it's called. And yes, it's you must watch it. I mean, sort of if you have a chance, either when you're in Isla, or we do showings as well in the venues and stuff. But look out for it. I think it's about 40 minutes, and it just flies by.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of literally does. It's
It truly is wonderful. It's a feature-length documentary, and it kind of features every aspect of sherry cask maturation. It is incredibly educational,
Yeah.
and it is, as kind of Duncan alluded to earlier, being released in Isla at the Machley Hotel.
Mhm.
We're doing some screenings in Queen Street, in Edinburgh, in our members' rooms, also Bath Street in Glasgow. And I think actually we have some lovely recordings from Richard Gosling, who produced and directed the whole thing.
Yep.
And he's going to share a little bit more. And we might actually even get a little sneak preview as well.
This is the start of our sherry cask pilgrimage, heading up to forests to see the trees where the casks start their journey.
Been to distilleries many times and seen whiskey getting made, but to come right back to the beginning, incredible.
So the idea was we wanted to really tell the whole story of sherry cask maturation, every aspect of it. And that meant going right back to the beginning. We went to the forests of Galicia, up in the northwest of Spain, to see oak trees being chopped down. Watching the process from that point on, where they were stripped of their branches and all the other foliage that was around them, and then they were picked up by these cranes and taken off to the local sawmill, where we were also given access into this like really dynamic environment with blades all over the place. But you know, in Spain, health and safety is not such a huge concern, so we get brilliant access inside the sawmill to see what happens when these logs start their next stage of the journey to be turned into staves. It's a very, very lengthy process. The wood needs to dry naturally. This is all air drying, both up in the north of the country and then when they're transferred to Andalusia, to the Sherry Triangle in the south. Jerez de la Frontera is at the heart of that and at the absolute heart of the sherry industry. So that's where we're headed next. And that was to see the next part of the journey, which was the staves that we'd seen being cut up in the sawmill in Galicia. We went to the cooperage in Jerez de la Frontera to see those staves being made into casks. really wanted to show the level of skill and expertise at play in creating these casks, and we got great access. Our videographer Gareth was having a field day because he was really able to get up close to every aspect of what was happening in the cooperage. And if anyone's ever been in a cooperage before, you'll know what an exciting, dynamic, really dangerous environment it is. But again, Spanish health and safety didn't prohibit us from really getting in amongst it. And I remember Gareth, even we'd been in for a while, and we came out and we were in the office, and he asked, would it be possible to fly my drone inside the cooperage? And it's the kind of request, if you'd said something like that in Scotland, there's absolutely no way. But they were quite happy, and they were more concerned, I think, about potentially Gareth damaging the drone than any accident that the drone might cause. You know, in terms of being able to show what's happening in a cooperage, I think we've got some sensational footage, and we're really able to bring that to life. But as Narciso, the owner of the cooperage, told us, at the end of the process, you end up with a cask, and that's all it is. The next stage of the process is to make it a sherry cask. So from there, we went to one of the region's bodegas, and obviously there's many bodegas in and around the Sherry Triangle, and many of them are now running a business where they take these new casks and they fill them with sherry for a minimum of 1 year, but in our case, usually up to 3 years, and that's to season the cask ready for it to go on to have another life in Scotland, maturing Scotch whisky. We went into the bodega to find out more about that side of the process, the regulations that are in place around the sherry industry, how we work with different suppliers to ensure the quality of the casks that we're sourcing. But it was really special to be inside this massive bodega and to see SMWS stenciled on the end of all these casks, rows and rows of casks. Ewan, our head of whisky creation, who was obviously there to help make the documentary, he was at pains to explain that, you know, sherry for us means variety. So it was a great chance to go and explore that and bring it to life on camera. We also needed to explore the world of sherry wine. And again, you know, until you really delve into sherry, I didn't really have an understanding of the varieties of sherry and how different they are. You know, from that very light, dry, crisp fino sherry, Amontillado, Manzanilla, Palo Cortado, and then the Oloroso or the cream sherry, which people in the UK might be more familiar with from their granny drinking a bottle of Croft Original, something like that. And then the Pedro Jimenez, the very sticky, sweet dessert wine. You know, it's a world of variety, and it's all called sherry, but until you get a chance to taste these different varieties, it's kind of hard to get your head around that. But we had a fantastic tasting with the head winemaker at Bodegas Baron, and he was able to kind of bring that to life. What was really nice was we were able to share a society whisky with him, which was obviously sherry matured, and he was very happy with that. So that was nice. It felt like a nice synergy between the two worlds that we were exploring, between sherry and Scotch. Apart from casks, which are created specifically for whisky maturation, are ex-bodega casks. Those are harder to get hold of. You know, the ex-bodega casks come from what they call Solera systems in the sherry bodegas, and these are, you know, rows of sherry casks, and what they do is they withdraw a certain amount of sherry from the bottom row of the casks, and then they replenish that with newer sherry in the top row, and it basically takes a lot of time to kind of filter down as they empty from the bottom and fill from the top. But you know, those casks need to be renewed every so often, but it means that we can pick up some of these ex-bodega casks. And we visited a bodega called Jimenez Spinola, which specializes in the Pedro Jimenez grape. And, you know, their bodega systems date back to, I think, 1964 for one, 1918 for another. And every so often they renew their casks within the Solera systems, but it means we can get access to these old casks that have been sitting in their bodega for many years, potentially decades. The consistency, you've got to be really careful with ex-bodega casks. They're not being created specifically for your purposes. So there are some real treasures there, but you know, you've got to know where to go, and quality control is obviously a really key aspect. But the team at Jimenez Spinola are just fantastic. We were able to finish up in the center of Jerez with one of our main contacts, Narciso, who runs the sawmill up in Galicia, and also the cooperage Tavasa just outside Jerez de la Frontera. And you know, to sit in a plaza in the center of the old town of Jerez and have a lovely meal, drink some sherry, and then finish it off when Ewan brought out another bottle of Society Oloroso matured whiskey, and share that with Narciso, and he just loved it. You know, he's holding it up and he's saying, this is the similar colour to Oloroso, and he loved the flavours of it. And even he said, this is bringing these two worlds together, from Scotland to Spain. It was a really special moment, and you just think, well, this is the best of both worlds. And hopefully in the documentary we've brought that to life. We've introduced you to some of the people who are making the casks and the sherry, and who are involved in the Spanish side, and giving you a better understanding of what it's all about. And you know, hope you explore the Society's world of sherry cask matured whiskey, because there's a lot to dive into. Hope you enjoy the documentary. It was a real pleasure putting it together. Get yourself a bottle of Society sherry cask matured whiskey and raise a glass.
And the good news is the documentary, Scotch and Sherry, is actually going to be available on YouTube from tomorrow. And all you have to do is go into YouTube and search Scotch and Sherry, and it's yours to view. Well worth
yes, it. And if you didn't get an appetite for it after that, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know what it is. It's just
it truly is fantastic.
It is. Yeah. It is fantastic. Yeah. And also, just to mention as well, Julie, just hot off the press,
yes,
there will also be a magazine which comes out.
Of course, yeah.
Which is the Scotch and Sherry magazine, which I believe, as I say, is just literally in the press right now. And I've written an article in there about Duende, Spanish Duende, which I certainly found in the last 2 weeks in Jerez. So again, something well worth watching out for.
Definitely, yeah. Keep your eyes peeled for that
Yep.
one. Yep.
There was one question as well while we're looking at it, which was about distillery number 4 and about sherry and maturation and peat. I can just tell you one thing. I mean, for me personally, peat and sherry is a match made in heaven.
Yep.
I've personally been in the panel now for over 20 years. The highest score I ever gave was a peated sherried whiskey, which was a 10-year-old from distillery number 33. So therefore, we are. I mean, I very much love those combinations between the sweetness, which very often the sherry has, and that smokiness, and that brings us very neatly and nicely to the number 3.
It's a great. Thank you. It was Neil Martin that asked that question. You actually could not have asked a better question, because it leads us, as Olaf says,
what was it, Martin?
Lovely. Neil Martin.
Yes, yeah. So and he wasn't even paid for that, was he? I mean, so that's the question. So here we are. 149, so one of our newer distilleries. That's because it is also a distillery which is, well, recently built in comparison to all the others. It's already almost a distillery a long time knowing, but 149, 7th cask, a coal scuttle of jam and treacle.
Do you know what a coal scuttle is?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
I do.
I
Yes,
do,
I've been long enough here. I don't know what I don't know what a flick is. I didn't know that, but I
wonder. There's a question to anyone that's watching. If you know what a coal scuttle is, pop it in the comments and let us know. And if you don't, we will reveal what it is.
So again, something completely different because it is in the peated category, But here we've got a full-time maturation in Spanish oak, Oloroso, and it's 7 years. So here you have it. I mean, the variety is endless. You had the not so sweet Pedro Jimenez, the first one, in French oak. You've had the sweet Pedro Jimenez in American oak, and now you're having Spanish oak fully matured in Oloroso.
Yeah.
So it really got, you can't have more variety at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And here we go. Let's give it a
little nose.
As I say, 7 years old. Beautiful nose.
My goodness.
Beautiful nose. And I have to laugh because in the tasting note, it isn't mine, so therefore I can laugh. It says a thick and syrupy Pedro Jimenez sherry, which obviously it's just the opposite really in terms of, and you read it because it's Oloroso and it's Spanish oak.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect it, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. And then you've got that lovely fragrant smoke coming with it.
Yeah, I get a real herbally smoky
Yes.
sort of kind of note coming through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I could dive into the glass. I think this is my second favorite flavor profile, this one as well. This is like the dream pack for me.
And can't remember how much it's quite strong as well, 61 or 61 and a half, I think it is.
Oh, no, it's on the table. Let's see. Yeah, 61.7. Yeah.
Again, of course, I mean, peat smoke is always forgiving, so you don't really smell that. But I assume having a sip, you're probably going to feel the 61. But
yeah,
we'll try
Let's try it.
Yeah, Slange. Oh, yes. Ooh. That dried herbs are there.
Get that? Yep.
But it's pretty fiery.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's sort of...
just the finishes.
Yeah. It's got a sweetness.
A little bit licorice, maybe?
Licorice?
Yeah. Just a little bit on the finish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe red licorice, sort of. But I need a drop of water on that one, I'm afraid.
Do you?
Which,
I actually think that I would.
I mean, I know. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's not.
Carry on.
It's not like no. I don't want to be sort of. But the old Scottish sayings, unfortunately, are always men dominated. But it divides the boys from the men, you know. And I'm just a boy, you know. Sort of. So therefore, I need some water in that one. So I'll do that.
A little bit, maybe like smoky bacon. Did you get
Yeah. I mean, sort of said honey glazed again for me. That sweetness which comes out. So I've added some water. Yeah, and I'm much more happier now.
And it's funny, that sweetness is still there though, isn't it? That like, even though that's in the peated flavor profile.
Yes.
You wouldn't expect that, would you?
I think it's much more in the peated category because of the taste rather than the...
So lovely.
Yeah, you know what? Now with water in it, that herbiness that's still there,
coming,
and it's like again, this is what you say with memories and stuff. Yeah. Because me being 2 weeks in Spain just now, and I also drank quite a few vermouth.
Nice, yeah.
It's that sort of sherry vermouth sort of idea with some herbs in there, you know, sort of that was what it reminds me of.
Yeah, and that's so lovely, isn't it? They can just take you back to that moment in time.
That's it. Right.
Beautiful.
I think we're ready for
a pub quiz.
Yes,
ready
exactly.
For a pub quiz?
We've done all the work, so they can now do all the work. So therefore, that's what we're going to do.
And like I said at the beginning, Olaf and I are incredibly grateful that we're actually reading the questions because it's quite a difficult question. No, it's good fun.
I can tell you one thing. If you get it wrong, don't worry. If I would have been doing it, I would have got quite a few wrong.
So there's 10 questions. They're all about whiskey regions and about festivals. Of course, what else? Multiple choice, my favorite kind of quiz. Pop your answers in the comments as we go along. We'll give you a couple of minutes to answer them, and then we will reveal what the answer is. And actually, there's a little bit of trivia attached to each answer as well, which is really cool because you're going to learn something too, which I love. So
here we go.
Olaf, over to you. Question number one.
Question number one. When was the first Fèis Eel held? Was it in 1976, in 86, 96, or 2006?
What a question.
I would.
So give you a couple of minutes.
Not quite sure. I wouldn't have been between two dates. I wouldn't have been sure.
Yeah. What would you go? I'd go for 86.
Yeah, I would have probably Yeah, could have been 76 as well, I was thinking, but
Easy for me to say. I'm sitting here with the answers.
so what have you got? Anyone's coming in? Or?
Good. Anyone? Graham Kerr's come in with C. Yeah. Alexandra B.
Yeah.
Good.
She obviously listened to you,
Good.
Julie,
Yep.
which is a wise decision.
Wise decision. I'm glad somebody does.
Yeah, no, it is 1986. As I say, I knew it was quite a long time ago, but actually then it wasn't the whiskey festival. It was literally an island festival, sort of community events, walks, history, a lot of song and dance as well, rather than Kaylee's. I mean, that sort of events. And it was only in 2000 that the whiskey companies sort of saw the potential in a way and sort of started to have their open days and everything. So
just built from there.
Exactly. And it's just gone from there. From
strength to strength.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Amazing. Great. Right. Question number 2. How many new distilleries now have planning permission to be built in Campbelltown? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Yeah. And Julie, just to say, in or near Campbelltown as well.
In or near, yes. So not in it itself.
Yes.
In or near.
In the region of Campbelltown.
In the region. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah. In the region of Campbelltown. So is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? What have we got? We've got, somebody's come in and said 3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 3 as well from Graham Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
Good. You guys have your finger on the pulse.
Yep.
Richard Goslin has said 3. Fancy that.
Fancy that.
Good answer, Richard.
Because the answer is?
The answer is 3.
3. And anyone knowing the 3?
Yeah, bonus points if you can name the distilleries.
Name the distilleries.
Yep.
The future distilleries in a way.
Future distilleries, yeah. Quick.
Do we get any? Do we get any names?
Someone to be nimble with your fingers and
Yep.
type in.
Yeah. I could not do that because I would need 5 minutes.
I know. Find the keys.
Anyone?
No, but we've got somebody saying, hi, Olaf from Switzerland.
Oh, who's that?
Jörg.
Oh, Jörg. Grüezi. To Bern. It's Bern.
So good.
Or not Bern, really, but it's near Bern.
Okay, we have somebody, Cole Whiskey has said Delriata,
Yep.
Witchburn, and Machrihanish.
Machrihanish.
Pronounce that, and you're absolutely correct.
Spot on.
Hey, spot on. That is
yes.
amazing knowledge.
Yeah.
So part of a renaissance for the region,
Thank God.
which was once known as Whiskyopolis, which I love. I think that's great.
Yeah.
With more than 30. So at one point, there's more than 30
distilleries
in production at the same time. So
Yep.
it must have been a busy, crowded place.
Yeah, when good
Now down to 3.
when good old Alfred Barnard was there, it
Yeah.
was at its heydays. I mean, sort of in the 1880s, 1890s.
You're not that old, Olaf. Are you?
Me, no, not quite. Talking of old, next question.
Moving swiftly on.
Sudden, exactly. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
Yeah,
So therefore,
love
Oloroso, sherry Oloroso is one of the favorite varieties of sherries used to mature whiskey. But what does Oloroso actually mean? Is it A, fragrant, B, oxidized, C, nutty, or D, spicy? That would be easy for me.
Question. That would
But
be.
just having been there.
Take a guess. Let's see your comments. We have Alex Anne Phillips coming in with A. Good, Anne. Alexandra coming in with A as well. Daniel coming in with D.
D, yeah.
Spicy.
Can see
Graham
why.
Kerr coming in with D.
Yeah, I
Spicy.
can see why.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
they? I can
Makes sense.
because very often there are spicy drams as well. Sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, we've had a couple there.
But it means olor means smell, and then oloroso actually means smelling very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, actually, in the olden days, talking about olden days, the old man, the old gentlemen in Jerez always had their suit on, and then they had the handkerchief in their
proper.
jacket, and these white handkerchiefs were dabbed a little bit with Oloroso sherry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
Almost like cologne.
it was
Almost like cologne.
Cologne, exactly. So I obviously I'm not a gentleman, so I dabbed it behind my ears for the last 2 weeks, but it didn't help. So I'll skip that one for next time.
Well tried.
Right, on to number 4.
Brilliant. On to number 4. So, what's the most northern lowland distillery?
That's insane, that
So that's
question.
in Scotland. That is mad. What's the most northern lowland distillery? Daft Mill, Inchdarney, King's Barnes, or Lindors?
Yeah.
Lindors just reminds me of chocolate.
No. You just had a Swiss guy on it, so
Yeah.
that's why you're thinking.
I'm thinking. I think.
Your minds.
So it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
So that is quite tricky, actually. I would have not got that right.
I wouldn't get this right. So what's the most northern lowland distillery? Let's see. Anyone willing to hazard a guess? Even so, Daft Mill, Inchdarney,
Inchdarney, King's Barnes,
or Lindors.
Yeah.
Graham has gone for D.
Yeah. Okay.
Alexandra said no idea. That's a fair point.
That's a very fair point.
And Phillips has gone with C.
Yeah.
King's Barnes. Good guess as well. That's a good guess.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
As I say, I would struggle.
Whiskey is my jam. Is D. Yeah. Cow whiskey D.
Okay, these guys obviously are
really good. Yeah. Yeah, and which is the correct answer.
Which is the correct answer.
So Lindors is the correct answer. The lowland region goes right along the south side of the Firth of Tay until it comes to the North Sea, which I actually didn't know. Meaning Lindors is the most northerly lowland distillery, and the most further north than the Highland distilleries such as Deanston, Glengoyle, and
Tullybarden. Yes. So, and by the way, all these wonderful lines, they've got nothing to do with history or with anything. But as we talk whiskey, it usually has to do with tax.
With tax, yeah.
So that was the tax line basically, which came in the Wash Act in 1784.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
See? Yeah, every day's a school day. With
And now
the knowledge is like the encyclopedia of whiskey.
And now comes the question, which I would well, as it's a multiple choice, so therefore I'm sure you the closest one is correct here, because I wouldn't know. How many working distilleries are currently in the Speyside region? 32, 42, 52, or 62? As I say, just I wouldn't bet on it. It's the absolute correct number, because the definition of Speyside is already a bit sort of
kind of sketchy, isn't it?
Sketchy.
Yeah.
Have you got any numbers coming in?
So no numbers. Oh no, we've got Cole Whiskey has guessed C. And he currently is the only person. Graham, good Graham. B. Good. Anyone else? Alexandra is saying D.
Oh right, we've got everything basically. B, C, and D.
Split hairs here. Robbie's saying C.
Yep. It is C.
And it is C.
As I say, I mean, don't nail us on it. It might be 54, it might be 51, but certainly it is the region where most distilleries are in Scotland, because you've got everything there you need. You've got the water there. Yeah. In the olden days, you had the infrastructure as well. That's why when the trains came up there to get stuff up, and more important as well, to get the whiskey down. Yeah. So that's why the Speyside always is the main.
It's like the heartland, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where Craigellachie is in the heartland of the heartland, basically.
That's a nice way to describe it.
In Speyside. Yep.
Beautiful. Question 6. What is a quaich and its connection with whiskey? That's a great question. So what is a quaich and its connection with whiskey? Is it a cup for drinking whiskey from? A device for hiding stolen whiskey down your trousers? A tool used by coopers to create casks? Or an instrument for drawing whiskey from the cask? So what is a quaich and its connection with whiskey?
Yep.
Pretty challenging question.
Yep. I know the instrument for drawing sherry out of a cask.
Do you?
Yes.
We've got a couple of. Oh gosh, they're coming in thick and fast now.
Oh,
A's. A cup for drinking whiskey from.
Obviously, that was easy.
That was the one to give you a point.
That's the Craig bar as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is indeed a cup for drinking whiskey. So well done. Quaich comes from the Gaelic for cup. Most people, if you're Scottish, probably know that. Two-handed vessel passed between people to symbolise love and trust, which I think is nice.
That's why you have it very often in weddings as well these days.
Yeah, which is really nice. And you give it as a sign of friendship, I think, as well, don't you?
You do.
Traditionally made from wood with 2 handles. I love this, actually.
I do.
So that rival clansmen couldn't pull a weapon and drink from the quaich at the same time.
Yep.
So
these clansmen, those were the hard days.
Crazy times, right?
Right. Which distillery spans the border between 2 regions? Is it Arran, Is it Auchentoshan? Is it Loch Lomond? Or is it Glengoyne?
Oh, already people are answering. Glengoyne.
Of course, they've all
yeah.
been there probably and heard the story.
Going with it, everyone, Glengoyne, even
yeah.
Hans saying Glengoyne.
That's it. That's it. Because obviously, yes, it is. It is because the stills are in the highlands and the warehouses are in the lowlands. So therefore, that's what it is.
Good answer. Great.
Yeah.
Right, next question. When did the Scottish whisky regulations come into effect to classify the boundaries of Scotland's 5 whisky regions? You were just talking about this, Olaf.
Yeah.
Was it 1823? Was it 1918? Was it 1963? Or was it 2009? So when did the Scottish whisky regulations come into effect to classify the boundaries of Scotland's 5 whisky regions?
Yep.
Answers in the comments. Right, we've got D,
These
C.
people, they're far too smart.
Gosh, no, I don't think I would know. C. It's actually a lot of people saying C.
Yeah.
Actually, it's actually a lot later than you would imagine.
That's it.
It was, in fact,
2000.
Whiskey is My Jam coming in with the right answer there, D, 2009.
Yeah.
So the Scottish whisky regulations 2009 set out precise geographical boundaries
Correct.
for 2 protected localities, Isla and Campbelltown, and 3 protected regions, which of course are Highland, Lowlands, and Bayside.
Mm-hmm. What is the most westerly distillery on the Scottish mainland? Ardnamurchan, Bladnoch, Nicknane, or Oban? I know one guy in Switzerland who actually has all the coordinates, you know, sort of, I don't know, what do you call them, the longitude and latitude or whatever.
Yeah.
So he would be just laughing. He would just press one button on his mobile phone and he would know exactly how he's
where to go.
Yes.
What region you were in?
Because I one time had a tasting in Switzerland. I said, I'm not sure if Bladnoch still is the most southerly distillery because there was borders. And he said, no, it still is by 3 minutes and 2 seconds or something, whatever it is. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Have you got any answers coming in?
So we've got Graham saying A, Andrea saying D, Whiskey is My Jam saying A.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is Ardnamurchan.
Yep.
It's one of our new distilleries. I should say the number here, but I won't. I won't do that. But I can tell you we've enjoyed one whiskey here. And it is still on the mainland, but I mean it's a long way away from everything.
Yeah.
I've been there, but it's like Campbelltown really. You have to have a plan to get there because you don't get there by accident.
Yeah.
And the final question.
Which Scotch Malt Whisky Society members' room celebrates its 25th anniversary this July?
Yep.
Is it Bath Street in Glasgow, Greville Street in London, Queen Street in Edinburgh, or the Vaults here in Leith? Go for it. Hit us with your best guess.
That would be an easy one for me.
Easy one for you. A from Alexandra Graham is an A.
Okay.
If you're a member of the team, you're not allowed to answer this question. Good. Graham D. The answer is in fact B. So it's Greville Street in London.
Correct.
An exciting time. Opened on the 20th of July, 1999. Silver anniversary this year. So,
and I can tell you why it's easy for me, because I lived in London at the time.
Did you?
Yes.
So you were there when it opened.
And if they would have asked me, the society, where to put it, I would have said exactly where they did, because it's very close to Farringdon train station.
It is, yeah.
And that was my station where I had to go home from.
It was destiny.
It was destiny.
It was destiny.
So basically, whenever the wrong leaves were on the line or whatever, and the queues were endless, I just ended up at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society in Greville Street, and I always call it and still call it an oasis in the madness of London.
I love
it is a wonderful, wonderful place.
The benefits of rubbish weather in the UK. We do have them. We are doing a special 25th bottling. I don't know if you know about this
No,
year.
I don't.
For Greville Street.
I don't.
That'll be coming in July or thereabouts, and various events as well. So stay tuned for that.
Good.
Various emails that come out about that.
Excellent. Well, well done, most of you guys, but probably better than me, quite frankly.
No, like I said, I'm glad I wasn't taking part. And sadly, that kind of concludes the evening.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely tremendous. I've never done this before, but it was certainly very enjoyable. Great to see so many of you from around the world, and amazing to be here with.
Oh
with
gosh,
you, Ola. I feel
don't.
very privileged. One day, my knowledge will be as good as yours.
Yeah.
So,
I've got 40 years, so
40
therefore.
years, yeah, well, a lot
No.
of years to catch up on.
No.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
No, I think it's the right time to draw to a close.
Yep.
And as I said, we had a song to start off with. We've got another tune coming in by Kirsty, by Shani, and by Nick from the Sam Gillespie Trio. And this one is called, and I probably pronounced that wrong, The Fair Fleur of Northumberland.
Fair
Flower. And yep, I think we'll just bow out with that. So over to the Sam Gillespie Trio.
This is a song called The Fair Fleur of Northumberland. Oh, a prophesied author was walking her lane, and Abigail love was easy one, and she spied a Scots prisoner a mocking his mane, and she was the fair fleur of Northumberland. He said, "Oh, get a lassie with borrow a key, and nagging her love was easy one. I would mark her a lady of highest degree. Can she loosen me out of my princely stride? Say it's down, she's down, take her father's bed stocks, saying Abigail love was easy one, and she's stolen the best key there from mornings the blade long, for to loosen him out of his princely stride. And as soon she's done take her father's get stable, and Abigail love was easy one, and she stolen the best horse that was both fleet and able, but to carry them back to bonny Scotland. But as they were riding out on Scots moors, he cried, but your love it was easy one. Get your in for my horse, you're a brazen face too, although you're fleur in Northumberland. For I have a wife in my own country, and I bet your love it was easy one, and I can't do nothing well I say like it. You'll hate again to Northumberland. Your kitchen surely can be, but I bet my love it was easy one. Now serve your good lady most reverently, for I can't get back to my family. Oh, cook in my kitchen, you can will be, and I bet your love it was easy one. My lady, she would not hear servants like ye. You'll hate again to Northumberland. Glad was he, the lassie to time, and Abigail love was easy one. So he's had an old horse, and he's feed an old man, for to carry her home to Northumberland. And when she's coming, her feathered friend saying about her love, it was easy one. For taking we a Scotsman when you're barely 16, and you the fair flute of Northumberland. And when she's coming, if mother did smile, saying but your love was easy one. But you know the first loss that John Scott said beguile. And you're welcome back here to Northumberland. But you wouldn't want breed, you wouldn't want wine, and but your love it was easy one. You wouldn't want silver for to buy a man way, and your eye the fair flute and Northumberland, and you're welcome back in to Northumberland.